Hello and welcome to the tutorial on establishing the discussion board and creating discussion threads. What you see here is a Blackboard course used for training. Your course, either your practice course or your actual contracted course, will look slightly differently. However, the functionality of what we're about to do remains the same. You may see different announcements or a welcome announcement that comes with the course. This should not be a concern and does not change the technical aspects of what we're about to do. To establish your discussion board, the first thing you will do is click on Discussion Board. What you can see here is that there are already several forums established. When you log in, you will not have content here for the first time, as you have not created any. What you will need to do the first time you go to your discussion board is go to Create a Forum. Once you're in the forum, you will need to give the forum a name. It is recommended that the name reflect the weekly content, so we will use Week 1 as this would be your initial forum to establish. You can also write a brief description, though you do not need to include detailed information about the week's content. Sometimes it's nice just to post a message that explains to the students what the forum is and perhaps what it contains. I use language to the effect of, "This is where you will engage in content and discussions about the Week 1 materials." You can feel free to write whatever you would like here. We'll check the spelling as I have an error, replace it. Good. What we can then do is scroll down to our forum availability. Now obviously when you're establishing the initial forum, Forum 1, to begin your course, you will want that to be available immediately. So today is December 12th and it's just after 9:44. So we'll have this available immediately. You will want to do the same. It is, however, possible to set up all your discussion forums for an entire course and then use the display after, so they will time release at the appropriate start of the week. St. Francis College of Law courses and Baker College online courses always begin Thursday at midnight and end Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. This is typically an Eastern Standard Time as far as the instructor is concerned, though I know many of you are on the West Coast. You will want to be aware of this as you work with your students. So we've set our forum to be available immediately, and then we have some settings we can choose from. These are the default options, which allow users to reply with the quote feature, which is good and generally a positive practice. Allow users to have file attachments. This is essential for if you'll have your students submitting larger works or papers through the discussion forum for peer review or for review by you as the faculty member. And then there's an item here, allows members to create threads. This item is a matter of personal preference. I prefer to control the threads that are added to my discussion forums and have students email me ideas that they may want to include. If you would like students to be able to add content, as this is a graduate school course, you can feel free to leave this checked. For our purposes today, I'm going to leave this checked, which will allow students to add their own discussion threads to your discussion forum. What you can see here under Subscribe are the subscription features. What a subscription is a feature that anytime there is content added either to a forum or to a thread that you have subscribed to, it will send you an email notifying you that content has been added. As the instructor, you may want to subscribe to an Ask the Professor Questions thread. However, it is not recommended that you subscribe to the forums, as your asynchronous students will sometimes post in excess of 200 times a week. Subscribing to the forum can many times clog up your email and become difficult to manage. So we will enable the Allow Members to Subscribe, and then we can see that this will give us a link to the post. You can also set it to include the post in the email if you would prefer. There's no recommendation here, this is purely a matter of preference. You will also see that there is a grading option for your discussion forums. There is a separate video tutorial which explains this feature and how you can use it, if this is something you desire. You do not have to use this feature though. So we've created our week 1 forum. We've written a brief description. We've set it to release immediately because this is our very first post. And now we'll click Submit. What you can see now is that our week 1 forum has appeared, and since this in theory would be our opening content, I'll move this to the top. You can reorder your forums at any time using drag and drop, and it will move just like that. So now we have a forum. We see our description is here. We see that no one has posted yet and that there are not any unread posts. What we'll do is add our content. So within each forum, there are separate discussion threads that need to be added as well. Now we are inside our forum. To add threads so that students can have conversation, we'll go to Create a Thread. And the first thread we'll create is an introductions thread. It is a commonly accepted best practice for online education to allow students a discussion thread to introduce themselves to you and to their peers. If your course does not have an introductions assignment, as some do, it is highly recommended that you include an introductions thread in your week 1 forum for every class that you teach. This allows you to get to know the students and help students build connections to one another that will ultimately help create community in your online course. So we'll write introductions here, and then this is where you would explain what information you wanted. You could ask them about their law experience, you could ask them about their personal likes and dislikes, you can ask them about their education experience. Whatever prompts and information would be relevant for you, you can write here. Alright, this automatically becomes available immediately, and you are not able to time threads. Once we had added our content for our opening introductions thread, we click Submit. And now you can see that we have our thread. When we click on our thread, we now see our initial post, and students will have the ability to reply and add their biographies as needed. You can also see here that this is where you would subscribe. So if you wanted to know that students added content to their biographies so you could respond promptly, you would subscribe to this thread and receive an email each time content was added. Again, as the instructor, be careful with which threads you subscribe to, as the volume of posts can sometimes clog up your inbox. At this point, you would then go through and add the remaining opening threads. It is recommended that you have an introductions thread, a forum for asking professor questions. You can title it Ask the Professor, Ask the Prof, whatever you see fit. Some people take a more humorous approach with this, some do not, but it's recommended that you have this thread in every forum. So we've got our introductions, our Ask the Professor thread, and then you'll want to create some opening questions to help get your students started. Some of the asynchronous courses will have required discussion questions which require more thought and perhaps some research and writing. These are not the opening questions referred to here. It's a recommended best practice to have some low-risk, more conversational items that students can engage in immediately when the clock hits midnight on Thursday. What you can see now is that we've got our opening course material set up for our students. We've created our threads and established our forums, so we'll go back and take one last look at the discussion board. So now you see from the announcements page where we began, we were then able to go to our discussion board, create a discussion forum, and then add our initial discussion threads. This concludes the tutorial on establishing the discussion forum for St. Francis College of Law courses.